As with the other forum, a drawing was held prior to determine which candidate would start first, and I believe that was Chris. We will now start with the forum with Chris's opening statement. Who are you and why are you running for mayor?
Okay. Oh, can everybody hear me now? Excellent. Thanks, Jane, for that introduction. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Lift this up a little bit. There we go. Thank you to each and every one of you for coming here tonight. This is absolutely awesome. Whoops. Thank you to Lake County News Chronicle for hosting this. It's wonderful, and thank you, of course, to the League of Women's Voters. It's really cool to see so much engagement. Just a little bit about myself. I've been married to Rebecca Swanson. She's here in the crowd for 18 years, amazing woman. And I have 5 awesome children. 4 of them are here tonight, but one couldn't be here because she's playing soccer up at Mesabi East. Of course, I'm a proud dad about that. I'm a business owner here in town. I own a digital marketing company, and if you're interested in what we do, feel free to grab me afterwards. I can tell you what that means. The name of that business is Peer Driven. I want to be really vulnerable with you tonight about why I'm running for mayor. I actually served on the council for some time, a few years ago. And I remember getting elected, and a few years ago actually I served with Randy. He was actually the mayor when I was a councilor. And during that time, there was 2 things that I will never forget that happened. One was I got a call from Randy letting me know that our fire chief's wife was killed in an accident. And the other one is I got a call from a good friend, Jason Kettle, and he reminded me that, or he told me that Randy's son had passed away. Being a mayor is not glamorous. Just finishing up 1 second. Being a mayor is not a glamorous position, and I know that,
Chris,
but I'm running because I believe in this position. Okay, thank you. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Well, first, hello.
Takes a minute.
Okay. Well, first, thanks to the League of Women Voters and Lake County News Chronicle for supporting this event. Also, thanks to Everett High School for hosting this event. I also want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. A little about myself. I'm married to my wife Tara, and together we have a wonderful 8-year-old son, Zach. I'm a 1994 graduate of Two Harbors High School. I'm a 4th-generation railroader working for the CN DM&IR for the last 21 years. I'm currently the general foreman in the Bridges and Building Department. I'm a 21-year member of the BMWE Union, currently serving as the state of Minnesota's legislative representative, the BMWED Executive Board, Local Lodge's 1710's president, and former Vice Chairman North. I'm a past Duluth News Tribune 20 under 40 recipient. I'm endorsed by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Brotherhood of Maintenance Away Employees in the Duluth Building and Constructions Trades. This is my 8th year being and having the privilege of serving as the mayor of this community that I passionately serve and love. The only reason I'm doing it is for one reason only, and I love Two Harbors. My entire agenda, whenever I make a decision for this community, is based for my passion for this community and what I want to do to try and progress this community. If I'm given the opportunity to have that role again, that will be my #1 agenda, is to continue to progress Two Harbors in a positive direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first question, actually Randy, you're going to start with that. In your opinion, what is the most important challenge facing our region, and how would you address this challenge?
Addressing our region, not the city of Two Harbors, okay? Regionally, I think having an advocate in the mayor's role who has connections on both the municipality level, the state level, and the federal level is extremely important. That allows us to get, if you have those good connections, it allows us the opportunities to have grant monies come into the community that we wouldn't necessarily get. Currently, the city of Two Harbors, out of 836 cities in the state of Minnesota, the city of Two Harbors is 27th in the entire state in obtaining a number of funds that we're able to use between our different types of grantings that are available and different types of monies that's available for us to use. So being an advocate that is someone who's got strong connections with other legislators, I think is extremely important, and regionally, we're all in this together. You know, essentially it's not, you know, my focus is Two Harbors, but our focus needs to be also regionally to allow us the opportunity to obtain as many grant opportunities as possible. And I've been that advocate for many years and have solid relationships with some of the key people that allows us to bring money into this community. And again, I think having a strong partnership with our state and federal delegation, as well as our municipalities around, I think is extremely important. One of the things I've done is I have a regional mayors group that I attend. All of us talk collectively, and I think it's important that we continue those type of trends. Thank you.
You know, I still remember the phone call I got when I heard that LP was going to be expanding up in Hoyt Lakes. And the first thought, honestly, that crossed my mind, and this was not too long ago, was, oh no, what's going to happen to the LP plant here? We had a big shutdown last winter at Cleveland Cliffs. Some of us were majorly impacted by that, not knowing what the outcome of that was going to be. The bottom line is that you need sustainable jobs for people to live in an area. Those jobs really matter for people, families, and everybody else, because even if a person is, for example, retired and they think that maybe it doesn't matter what other businesses are doing or what jobs are doing, there is a direct impact on the services and the things that we do in this community because of job creation. There's a lot of other things I can talk about. This time I'm not going to run out of time. But another big thing that I think is really regionally something we need to focus on is concerns about Lake Superior. I've been paying a lot of attention lately to water issues and forest issues, and there's a lot more going on there than people realize. And I think as a good environmental neighbor and a good city, we should be paying very close attention to those things, no matter what we're doing.
Thank you. You start the next question, Larissa. The question is, what could or should be done about the empty buildings in town?
Oh, I love this question. I'm one of these people that drives around and says, man, if I could just start another business. My wife won't let me do that, though. She told me no more. So the truth of the matter is these empty buildings are interesting. I've actually looked at locating in some of those buildings. Our company has been growing. And the problem with a lot of these buildings is they're actually quite broken, many of them. And so in order for a business to actually locate in those buildings, you're going to need to see some serious investment made into those buildings to get those fixed. And that's the problem with that is when you're a business owner and you're looking at starting a business, you're not always as excited about going and fixing a building at the same time. And that's one of the things I think people just assume that, oh, you're going to start a business, you're going to go and fix this building up. That's not going to happen. What we're going to have to do very specifically is get people excited about starting businesses. And what's really cool about this day and age, if you notice the national trend that's going on, is people are getting excited about coming back down to downtowns across America. It's a movement that's happening in Duluth, you see it here locally, and it can happen here in Two Harbors, where we get people excited about opening businesses in those different buildings. And that's how we're going to fill those buildings and get our downtown vibrant again.
I think one of the important things that we've done for the City of Two Harbors is the wayfinding sign program. I think that is the first step in allowing people to have the opportunity to advertise off the grid. That was a 6-year project that we worked diligently on. We were a pilot community in the state of Minnesota. We're the only city in the state of Minnesota that has this opportunity. But what we complained about was if people don't know what's downtown, or for that matter, uptown, if people don't know it, how is anyone going to go down there? So I feel it was our obligation to do whatever we could to try and draw as many people off the 7th Avenue grid and start to look outside our actual grid. And I think it's an important project, and it's a good first step that we've done, is doing this wayfinding sign program. I think it's an excellent first step for our businesses in our downtown to allow the opportunity to start to advertise for the first time in decades. So I think that's an excellent first step. I think there's really good granting opportunities available that the city has. We currently have a Two Harbors Economic Development Authority that we've started in the last several years. Their agenda is to try and promote and enhance as many businesses as we can in this community and try and do everything we can to try and bring as many businesses into the community. So we have a wonderful program in place through our THETA program, as well as our city administration, and as well as our other committees that we have for the city that are working hard for our pro-business. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy, you'll be starting the next question. Our third question for tonight is, what can city government do to work with Minda on traffic issues on Highway 61 through town?
Super good question. Currently, MnDOT has come to us with the latest proposal on what they want to do on the grid. And our first initial reaction when they came in was they wanted to change everything, wanted to take parking away. And as the city of Two Harbors with the municipal business owner with our liquor store, we were adamantly against that project and what they were proposing. So this latest incarnation of what MnDOT is proposing, we feel that it actually gives us some leeway. One of the best things that we did is we went to MnDOT and said, if you guys are going to take any type of parking away, you guys have to use some type of eminent domain type process at some of our empty buildings that are on 7th Avenue to obtain those properties so we can put some parking, off-street parking in. In my opinion, I would love to see between Blackwoods and the Two Harbors liquor store, those two buildings that are in between there, I'd like to see those buildings gone and have parking put right there. I also think there's some opportunity on the upper side, but right now, myself and a few councilors sit on a commission that is working with MnDOT to address this issue. We feel it's important. One of the questions is, you know, should we change anything? Is it justification to change anything? Yeah, in summer, there's 6 Sundays where there's traffic backed up. My folks live out by Betty's Pies, I know what it's like, so it is an issue and stuff, but the question is it the right question what's being proposed for year round? So that's one of the things we're struggling with and we'll continue to work on. Thank you. You grab that mic.
Well, first of all, I have tried this summer getting on 7th Avenue numerous times, and you watch those green lights are so fast. I'm very concerned that kids or people walking across the road, across 7th Avenue, are going to get hit. You watch people, for example, at Minnehaha, the stop signs there, they see the green light and they're cruising as fast as they can to hit that very short light. It's an issue. Traffic is an issue. This last weekend, traffic was unbelievably bad. What do I want to do about it? I want to sit down. I want to be inclusive. I want to invite MnDOT to the table and work directly with them to say, what are all of our options? Then I want to take the stakeholders being the business owners, but not just the business owners, anybody in the community that wants to see this fixed and is concerned by it. I want them to help us get involved and talk with MnDOT about what our options are. Here's why I say that. I've been up and down the North Shore. I've noticed a trend. MnDOT has invested a lot of money in many communities, not just up and down the North Shore, but all over northern Minnesota. Why isn't that same investment being made in Two Harbors? I'm concerned that MnDOT's not getting the message that this is a highly critical issue for our community. And I'm welcoming that discussion with MnDOT.
Thank you. It's at this point I want to let the greeters know this is the final collection of any audience questions, any of the cards that you may have written. If you have one, if you raise your hand and let the host know so they can come and collect it. Thank you. So our fourth question, and Chris, I guess that starts with you. What can the city government do to reduce the large debt load that the golf course has?
Well, first of all, the golf course, I heard discussion earlier from the counselors. I believe the number I heard, and I don't want to say this is the exact number, but I heard that we've lost $800,000 on the golf course over the years. There's a lot of municipal golf courses that have actually lost more than that and have shut down. But the quick story I want to share with you is this. I sat down with Rick Osbach some time ago and said, Rick, the city, we're not doing a great job running the curling club. Would the curling club be interested in taking that back over? And the curling club got their board together, and they got the curlers together, and they got a bunch more curlers together, and they said, we would love to take this over. What I believe is the people that are most motivated to make the golf course successful are those people that love golf. We need to lay down some timelines. We need to say this needs to be resolved in this amount of time. But I love what Councilor Erickson has done, the work that she's put forward, and the Golf Course Association. I don't know the exact name, but they've done a great job in trying to figure this out. We are moving in the right direction towards that profitability. The golf course looked better than it's looked in many years this summer, which is great. Some other things that I really believe strongly in is that we can use the resources around the golf course, property, do some housing development, some things that will make this a very sustainable golf course and a true jewel for our community.
One of the questions that has been in front of us from right from the very beginning is the sustainability of the golf course. About 5 years ago, while I was currently serving as mayor, we presented a proposal where we refinanced all our loans and brought it all under one roof, where we looked at all our loans and tried doing all that we had in debt for the golf course and start over from the beginning. We did that, we started refinance, it lowered our payment that was encumbersome for us. The most important thing I think we've done in the last couple of years is the Golf Course Association's membership that started, that executive board that started has really started the process of turning around that facility. I think it was an important first step, and it really was thinking outside the box. It wasn't something that had ever been done before. That 9-member volunteer board has done a tremendous job of thinking outside the box, trying to do more than what has been normal. I think an important thing to do is also look at the land that's on the upper side of the golf course, and we've looked at it in the past and we've marketed it in the past. We've put it out for different type of opportunities for people to bid on. It's always boiled down to the infrastructure that's needed to come off Highway 2 and go around, or off 61. So we've looked at different plans that we've tried to make some of the debt a little less encumbersome. We're always looking for different ideas, and I think that the plan that we do have in place with the current executive board on the golf course is something that's important and we'll continue to do.
Our 5th question, what do you plan to do to make Two Harbors more welcoming to business?
More welcoming to business. Well, I think, again, going back to the wayfinding sign program, I think that's a good first step. I think having grant opportunities available for businesses is a good step. One of the things that I'm proud of that I helped cheerlead through the council is the mini grant program that's available not only for businesses but also for all the residents in the community. The city of Evelyn implemented a plan where you can get up to $500 for a homeowner or a business, and you can have that go towards the beautification of your storefront or towards your home. That was an important step for myself. I think it was important to show the community and the business community that we were thinking outside the box, and it gave a lot of people the different opportunity to try and, if you wanted to dangle a carrot out there, that was one thing we were trying to do. I also think there's some opportunities through different grant programs, through some of the economic agencies around the Northland. I know the economic development through UMD has been absolutely wonderful to work with. Whenever someone wants to meet with me about a potential business, the first thing I sit down with them is the packet that I get from UMD about the economic packages available and what the process and steps are for everything to go in that place. I think that's a wonderful first step. So I think there's just a number of different opportunities that are available that we're continuing to do, and I think that are important.
Before Chris starts his response, I just want to remind the question folks that once Chris is done, then we're going to be starting with the audience questions, so that they know that I'll need those questions after he's done. So now you can start, Chris. Thanks.
Well, this is, again, a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I've seen many communities where business being the center focus creates a very healthy community. When business becomes something that just, we don't worry about it, it becomes unhealthy. The city can actually do very little, interestingly enough. Very little, except for one critical thing. And this is coming from somebody that's built a significant business in Two Harbors. The city can start communicating by doing little things such as inviting business owners to the council meetings and celebrating that they do business and offer service in our community, that they create jobs and sustain jobs in our community. That message will go so far. And one last little example on that is that's what Duluth did. Duluth started putting the message out that we're open for business. We want to be sustainable. And now everywhere I go in Duluth, I'm seeing businesses open, I'm seeing entrepreneurs doing unique, cool things. That's what we're going to have to do. Our community is going to need to say this is a focal point, and our city needs to celebrate business.
I know they're hot off the press. So the first question is, and we're starting with Chris. Agate Bay is a wonderful backdrop for potential park, playground, marina, amusement park, amphitheater for concerts and or other development to bring people into our downtown. How can obstacles be overcome to enable desirable development on Agate Bay between the lighthouse parking and the big docks? Can Two Harbors have an attractive waterfront like many other Lake Superior cities and towns?
Oh, this is a great question. Number one, I said earlier, we got to be friendly to the environment. I don't know how many of you have been down there in the summer. It's really tough to say that we're being friendly when there's an E. coli sign sitting there in the beach. What message is that sending not only to our community, but to anybody that goes down there? That's a real problem. So that's one thing that we're going to have to fix, and that's going to require us taking a look at all the water that's flowing into that bay. I know that's issues being researched, and I appreciate that. But what my belief is a big chunk of that property there is owned by the DNR. The DNR has said that they are unequivocally not going to build the marina. So we now have a big vacant piece of property, in my mind, a wonderful white canvas for us to paint the picture as a community of what we want to see. But what I envision is a recreation of Whiskey Row, a recreation of the fishermen houses down there with gift shops. I see a place where people can picnic, trails, water fountains, fun things for families, activities, fields. You imagine we can do it. That's a big piece of property throughout that whole area. How do we do it? We get the community together and we say this is a top priority.
Well, first you need to have catalysts to start this whole project. And the marina project is not dead. That's completely false. Right now, currently in the state of Minnesota, in this bonding session, the city of Two Harbors had a $750,000 request for a $7 million project, as well as some federal monies that the city of Two Harbors has already obtained for a transient dock project. Essentially, the transient dock project will be about a 500-foot extension off the current Edna G dock that allows some transient boaters to come into the port of Two Harbors. And that has been our focus all along, is trying to have a focal point or some type of strong beginning point. If you have those things, everything else can build off them. To be honest with you, when I look at the DNR's property, I'll say something controversial. I would love to see a small casino hotel down there. I think that if you had that type of sustainability, you could complement what Councilor Swanson said. I think that, but you got to have some type of opportunity or some type of business to draw those people down there. Can it be done tastefully? Potentially. But it's something that I've thought about for many years, and the potential is there for it to happen. But I think you need to have nucleuses and different things for all these different businesses. If they're going to go down there, they got to have something that draws them down there. I think the transient dock is going to be a wonderful first step. I think other opportunities that could potentially present themselves, I think, are important.
Next question goes to you, Randy. By 2020, 60% of the Two Harbors population will be 60 years and above. How do you propose we accommodate and support this expanding segment of the Two Harbors population?
By having golf courses. I think that the city needs to do everything they've continued to do as far as promoting a healthy community. Two Harbors is a very walkable community. I think one of the projects that you look at around Two Harbors is our walking trail system that we have implemented in place. I think it's important to point out that these walking trails, a lot of it was paid through with grants. We stepped up to the mic and really worked hard with our state and federal delegation to obtain as many grants as possible to pay for a majority of these projects. Some of them we've had to pay out of pocket for, but if you look at the millions of dollars that we've obtained through grants, I think it's allowed us to really expand a lot of those projects. I think having social opportunities for not only our seniors, but also for our kids, I think is important. I would personally like to see, you know, one of the counselors mentioned it. When I was in school, I remember the community center being a real strong focal point for our youth. And I think we need to go back to that. We need to make it into a arcade style type facility. I think that's an important thing that we could do. We haven't looked at it in a few years, but I think it's important for us to start to look at some different things outside the box that worked in the years past that we can start to work on now.
I was out knocking on doors the other day, and I was visiting with a lady, and she said, I was in the hospital for 5 days recently, and I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I tripped on the sidewalk downtown. And she showed me the spot. And I said, wow. Number one, what I'm hearing from our elders is simply, we want to live in a great community. We love this community. We remember when this community was a place that people celebrated downtown and said, this is a great place to shop. That's what they're excited about. That's what I'm excited about. They want to see things happening. But one of the things that I think matters to them the most is a true community center, multi-generational. They love the concept of being able to use a facility where they can get together, have fun, but where they see families getting together and having fun as well. And that's intriguing to me, because that's exactly what we want to do in Two Harbors. We've talked about that for a long time. We have a community center, that's what we call it. I envision something that's far more friendly in use and abilities for people being able to come in and do speaking or for playing games indoors. I mean, goodness, we do have cold weather for a few months out of the year, and it would be valuable for us to be able to do things indoors. So that's what I envision we should be talking about, and I'm hearing we should be talking about.
Okay. The CIP contains several items, including $1.5 million for a new municipal liquor store. Are municipal liquor stores a thing of the past? Why not let off-sale liquor store sales be done by free enterprise?
Well, I'm not a fan of that. First of all, I'm not a fan of spending $1.5 million on a new liquor store, unless I can be convinced otherwise. Here's why. I run projections for my business day in and day out. The most a liquor store ever made profit was $250,000 in 1 year. $250,000 is a lot of money, right? Well, if we're going to pay $1.5, $1.6 million for a liquor store, which I don't think we're going to be able to do, by the way. I think it's going to be far more expensive to build that type of building. We're looking at 6 years for return on investment. Nobody in business would ever want to make that investment. Remember, the city has to either bond or that they use their own cash to build that facility. They cannot go and get a mortgage like you and I. They are not allowed by state rules to do that. So I am not a fan of that unless we can prove that this is making us money. I am a fan of the city continuing to own the liquor store, because I think bringing competition in would absolutely decimate that business. So that's my stance on it. I can be convinced otherwise, but I feel very strongly that that would be a waste of our money, and I think it should go into our roads and infrastructure.
I'm not a fan of getting rid of a municipal liquor store either, or a campground for that matter. Those two entities make a tremendous amount of money for the city of Two Harbors. The money that was put in for the CIP plan, that $1.5 million, When the city set their tax levy for at this last city council meeting, what we did is we gave ourselves a 3-month window to look at the feasibility of a couple locations that we've identified as the best suitable spots for a potential new liquor store. The city of Two Harbors is in a business. We have to make as much money as possible, and that in turn affects all of our taxes. So if we can look at different plans that are available. 2 years ago, we had a company come in and do a feasibility study for the city of Two Harbors, specifically for our liquor store. And what is the amount of money that can be obtained and revenued through this program, or through this process. They said if you guys can find a store that's our current building, that would be the preferable, but if you can't, there was 2 locations that were identified as the best spots available for us to build a new facility. The majority of that money goes towards the infrastructure that's needed as well as the building. And it's incorrect. You can take internal loans legally through the state statutes. And we've done that through some of our different projects, specifically at the campground, to do a lot of these projects. So I think if you can get some money and look at the money, I think it's important. But the city of Two Harbors is in a business. We're in the business to make as much money as possible, and I think that's important.
Another audience question. What do you think is Two Harbors' biggest asset, and how do you intend on capitalizing on that?
The people, hands down. The people of this community, hands down, are the best people in this entire state. You know, it's an honor to serve as the mayor of this community. It really is. And to represent this body of people has been a tremendous honor for the last 8 years. You know, every day when I'm out and about and I'm seeing people between the grocery stores or just out and walking, I think it's important that we point out how special our people are in this community. We truly are Minnesota nice. We're the best that we have to offer, and I think it's our biggest asset is our people.
And that's a great response. One that's hard to come back against. Besides the people, Lake Superior. That's our asset. Who else has this kind of a lake in their backyard? And that's what we need to work towards, celebrating that lake and really becoming the community where people say, oh, yeah, I know Two Harbors. I've been to both harbors. Because right now, people tell me they've driven through our downtown, and I smile. Because right away they say, oh yeah, I got gas in Two Harbors. That's not what we want to see ultimately. We want to see people spend their dollars here, especially what I'll say is our friends. I have friends that would love to come here and visit and would love to spend dollars here. And the problem is so often when they drive on our streets and when I hear them and I talk to them, I sometimes go, you know what? That's not good. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for our people, for our community. And so, yes, Lake Superior is our asset. We need to fix our roads. I want to be proud. I want everybody to be proud of our community.
At the ribbon, At the ribbon cutting of the Two Harbors Credit Union, Mayor Bowen publicly stated that the commercial development of County Road 26 was the city's highest priority. Why isn't the revitalization and development of historic downtown Two Harbors one of our city's greatest assets, not the city's highest priority?
Is that directed?
I think that, again, the waterfront is very critical. Our downtown, I consider that part of the waterfront. Here's the reality of the situation. When I'm out talking to people and they say, Chris, I want a brand new alley. I say, you know, yes, you need a brand new alley. That's very important. But I just knocked on 6 other doors down the way here, and this person said they wanted all new sidewalks. This person said they wanted to see this taken care of. This person wanted to see that taken care of. The reality of the matter is we're going to have to focus. Now, I will tell you that this is one of my pet projects, is to focus on downtown. I believe if people come into our community and see a downtown that the buildings aren't all full and the community isn't vibrant, that's a real problem. It doesn't send the right message. But I know how important it is to focus on critical projects first. And so some projects, where as a community have to get together and say, top priority, this, second is this, third is this. And I want everybody to have an input into that. I want everybody to feel like they're a part of it and be a part of it. But if that's what's identified, I'll be excited to be on top of and running with the downtown historic waterfront area as a top priority.
For many years, the city of Two Harbors tried in vain to have the infrastructure brought up County Road 26 to allow the capabilities of having some businesses brought into that area. Successfully, through some negotiations, we were able to obtain some grants for the first time to start to look at the infrastructure going up County Road 26. And when I stated that the credit union grand opening was specific for that area, I think it's extremely important that we have the infrastructure going up County Road 26. Right now we have a couple shops that are, besides the credit union, I think that are important for that area. But to say that that's my focal point is untrue. The entire community is my focal point. The brewery, I think, has been a catalyst for downtown. I think that's a wonderful starting point. They're in the process of expanding right now. And we're in the process right now of obtaining 2 grants that's going to allow a brand new business to go into the former J&J casting site. So if you look at all the opportunities available, not just County Road 26 or up in the industrial park or down Highway 2, the downtown is and always has been the focal point of my tenure. That's why I'm passionate about some of the projects. I think the transient dock is a wonderful start. If we're able to obtain the grants available to do that project, I think it's important that we go along with that. So, you know, looking at the entire community in general, I think is what's important.
Sorry. I'll go again.
No, that's okay.
Keep going.
So Randy, this is to you. How are you, or what would you do to prepare the city to decrease their vulnerability on extreme weather events? So what would you do to prepare to decrease the city's vulnerability to extreme weather events? What kinds of things should you do?
That's a good question. There's 2 things that jump out immediately. The city has been a strong advocate for the new community radio station. We, right early from the get-go, wanted to step up and make sure that they knew, the exec board for the radio station knew that this was an outlet we were going to use to help get our message out right away to the community. We have a program in place with the radio station where we have monetary funds that are set up that monthly go to them, and we use that as an advocacy for our in extreme circumstances, not just if we did unfortunately have some type of weather-related event, but for all our emergency type situations, if we have water pipes break or so on and so forth, where there's some type of problem with the community. That is one good way. I think just being able to communicate with our, I think one of the counselors had mentioned that we're in the process right now of updating our website. It's been a number of years overdue to actually look at doing something more advanced with our website, and I think that gives us the opportunity as well to utilize that asset to the best of our capabilities. So I think there's a number of different avenues in place that we are looking at and currently doing that allow us to look at that type of situation.
It wasn't that long ago when in Duluth a fiber optic cable got cut, and some of you may remember this scenario. For 2 days, we were without 911 service, internet, but more critically, businesses up and down the North Shore couldn't process credit cards. Not too long ago, I was out of town actually, but not too long ago, we had a fiber optic situation happen with the current fiber optics where a truck hit a key piece of equipment right up by Super One. That brought down service for many people for almost 3 days. My understanding is 911 service was out. Many people lost Verizon mobile service. More critically, we lost the ability in some situations to, again, process credit card transactions in a very busy time in the North Shore. We need to be very intentional about emergency management. Safety has got to be something that we really focus in on and say, what are we doing here? I believe working with the county and bringing all the key stakeholders together for semi-annual or annual meetings to very specifically say, where do our emergency management plans stand and what are we doing with those, is very critical for us. And that's something that I actually get very excited about. I think it's important, and I want to see that no matter what happens, our 911 service and other services, especially any critical service, stay up and running.
This is going to be our last audience question. Starts with Chris. At least 2 of the past city audits gave a flunking score to fiscal management in our city's books. What do you think are the causes of the low audit scores, and what would you do to address the problem?
I'm not actually aware of, you said flunking scores, Jane?
Pardon?
Flunking scores?
It says flunking score.
Okay. I'm not aware that the city actually has had a flunking score. I am aware very specifically that in time they've said, the auditors have said that there's some things we need to do within our city departments. In particular, one of them is some separation or segregation of duties, which is basically sometimes you have an accountant, maybe they're having to do the deposits at the same time. What I have heard is that the state only recommends that we have 50% of our annual budget in reserve. And interestingly enough, Two Harbors for a long time, with all its enterprise funds, general fund, and different sources of money, actually has more than that. Now, recently that's been drawn down a little bit. I'm a very big fan of being fiscally responsible. We have an opportunity in time right now that's very interesting, and that is that we have bonding capabilities in our city because we have wonderful credit. Bonding capabilities to get dollars at 2.2% interest. That's unheard of for a city. If there's ever a time to fix our infrastructure, it's now.
I'm not aware of any flunking with our auditors as well. The one thing we did look at that came back as a red mark was our golf course, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And the important thing, and what I had stated earlier, was when we refinanced that loan, I think it was important that we started to get on the right fiscal track for that entity. The golf course was and has consistently been one of those red marks that we needed to look at, and we've done that. We started addressing it, and I think we've done a good job of addressing that. You know, I think all of us are, any type of person who's into these roles, as from a city councilor to the mayor, anything in municipal government, we're all fiscally conservative, we're all fiscally responsible. We have an obligation to do whatever we can to not make foolish decisions. We have to do whatever we can to try and do our best with from the professionals that present us the information. So when you're presented information from the people who are paid to do this, these professionals, Ehlers and Associates and other accounting firms, we do our absolute best. We research it, we read into detail everything we can to try and make the most educated decisions for the constituents. And that's what we've consistently done. We make our best decisions for our constituents.
Thank you. That'll end our audience question portion, and we're going to move now to the closing statements from each candidate. They will have 2 minutes. And Randy, you start.
Great. Well, first, thank you. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this, so thank you in the Duluth League of Women Voters, and thank you to the Chronicle for all the work they've done as well, and we appreciate you guys coming up to our beautiful community and spending the evening with us. You know, this election for me, it boils down to one thing. 12 years ago when I ran for city council, I ran as a city councilor, and it boiled down to one thing. I love this community. That's what it boils down to for me. I don't have an agenda. I have nothing hidden. I love this community. I passionately serve it. I've seen the lowest of lows in my personal life, and I've been there the highest of highs. I'm a 24/7 mayor. It doesn't matter what you do. If you go to the grocery store, you're out walking, you're always the mayor. Someone comes up to you and talks to you, you're the mayor. If you're in Duluth, you're in the cities. You're always the mayor of this community. You know, you can't quit halfway through a term and just that'd be good enough. You're in this role, and you better serve it proudly honorably and the best of your ability. For the last 8 years, I've had that privilege. I love this town, and that's the only reason I'm running, is because I love this community.
Five, 10 years from now, what I would love people to say about Two Harbors is, wow, that's the best kept, most well-run community I've seen in Minnesota. That's the vision. I think there's three challenges, major challenges facing us today. Number one, we've got to get our infrastructure fixed. We can't have the roads, the alleys, the sidewalks looking the way they are. Number two, curb appeal. We live in a beautiful area. People say it all the time, but they need to see that same thing when they drive past broken signs, things that aren't quite fixed. We need to work on that. And third, this is a place where businesses can succeed, they can prosper, they can create jobs, which is going to create a vibrant community. That's critical. I too love Two Harbors. I love serving. I love helping out. And all I'm going to ask from you is that as we move forward as a community, that we come together in an open, honest way, bringing everybody together, inclusive, to solve the problems that we have. Because we're not going to be able to get anywhere unless we do that. Thank you.